Yokota and her husband Shigeru, until his death 4 years ago, have been leading members in the campaign to get all the abductees back. Sakia says she became acutely aware that time is running out when her health took a turn for the worse in February of last year.
I thought I couldn't die yet, that I had to get my daughter back home. So I asked God to help me for 2 more years.
But she's no closer to her goal. Sakia says she fears that unless the government takes urgent action, she might never be reunited with her daughter. Japanese weather officials have warned of violent winds accompanying severe tropical storm Babinka in the vicinity of southwestern Japan. The storm is close to the Amami region of Kagoshima Prefecture. The Japan Meteorological Agency estimates Babinka was moving northwest at 9 p.m. on Saturday. It was traveling at 30 kilometers per hour. The storm was packing maximum sustained winds of 108 kilometers per hour near its center, with peak gusts of 144 kilometers per hour. Its central atmospheric pressure was 980 hectopascals. It's now expected to move northwest. Waves could reach as high as 8 meters in Amami, 7 meters around southern Kyushu, and 6 meters in Okinawa. Officials are calling on people in the Amami region to be on the alert for high waves, landslides, flooding in low-lying areas, and swollen rivers. Caution should be exercised against high waves in the Okinawa region. And those were the main stories for this hour. That wraps up this edition of NHK Newsline. I'm Kaneko Sakno in Tokyo. Thanks very much for joining us.
Welcome to BizStream. I'm Charlotte Vogue. Here's today's lineup. Germany's Volkswagen stunned workers with an announcement that it may shut some factories on home ground for the first time. We see what breaking this taboo says about the state of the global auto industry. The latest Japanese take on a traditional game arcade is gaining popularity in the US. We take a look at what's behind the crane game craze. As Japan's population continues to shrink, connections within many local communities are weakening. On-Site Report takes a closer look at unique business models that are helping to form and strengthen relationships amongst locals. Today we have Murakami Yumiko, General Partner at venture capital fund Empower Partners. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's take a look at this week's top stories. Amid trade tensions, China's exports to Europe jumped in August. A former ECB president says the European Union needs vast investments to compete with the US and China. Reports say a Canadian retail chain is seeking to buy Japan's 7&I Holdings, which is the parent company of the 7-Eleven convenience store chain. A Nippon Steel executive met with American officials looking to save the company's bid to acquire U.S. steel. And finally, China's Huawei has stolen the spotlight by unveiling a $2,800 triple foldable phone. So, Yumiko, what catches your attention this week?
I would choose number 4, the Nippon Steel's acquisition of U.S. Steel News. As you probably know, this transaction has been seen mutually beneficial, largely up until this point, for both Japan and U.S. However, the problem is there is so much political pressure right now in terms of securing jobs in the U.S., especially a few months before the elections. And therefore, this transaction has become a very much politicized issue. So for both parties, this becomes one of the most important policy debate points. And quite frankly, I don't think the verdict will be out until the election is over in November.
And I mean, what do you think, in your opinion? Is this deal dead?
This is a great transaction, or would be a great transaction for U.S. workers as well. So personally, I hope this will go through. However, political situation is very difficult to navigate right now, so a lot of uncertainty.
In limbo. Next, Raja Pradhan tells us about a shocking announcement from Europe's biggest automaker.
Charlotte, the announcement by Germany's Volkswagen it may close factories on its home turf for the first time in its near 90-year history has people reeling. The company has long been a symbol of the nation's industrial strength. But now, Volkswagen is under intense pressure to turn its business around. We look at what's behind it and what it may mean for other established car makers. A standoff is building up between the management and workers of Volkswagen as the German auto giant considers its first ever plant closures at home. Job cuts seem likely as the carmaker says it's scrapping a slew of labor agreements.
Beschissen. Überall.
Miserable. Everywhere. People are scared of losing their houses, that they will be fired. I've been working at the plant for 38 years.
We don't know what the future holds. Who knows? Maybe we will soon all be unemployed. We don't know.
Europe's top car maker is weighing a measure that was previously considered off the table. It's in this position partly because it continues to lose ground in its largest market, China. Volkswagen has been shifting its focus to electric vehicles. But the EV market is proving tough as the carmaker faces fierce price competition, particularly from China's BYD. An auto expert says the German carmaker and its long-standing rivals are having to navigate a new era of competition.
We are indeed experiencing a turning point in the automotive sector. The big party that this industry has been enjoying, and from which German manufacturers benefited for a long time, has come to an end. We have new competition, especially from China. Technological changes are also affecting the very fabric of established companies, such as Volkswagen.
And it's not just Volkswagen that's been sent skidding sideways by Chinese competition and lower than expected growth in the EV market. NHK has learned Japan's biggest car maker, Toyota Motor, is cutting its 2026 global EV production target by about a third. And in Europe, both Volvo Cars and Mercedes-Benz this year revised their goals for switching their fleets to EVs. Another expert says Chinese EV makers have more than just affordability working in their favor.
For EVs, there is a new battlefield in addition to price competition. Is the money to be made from services that car makers offer after selling vehicles, specifically the software and apps that go into self-driving and so-called connected cars? Chinese makers are gaining ground in that area. That's because Huawei and Xiaomi, which made huge profits from smartphones, entered the car market and are bringing their business model with them.
Gao says this reality presents a dilemma for so-called legacy car makers.
First, they need to massively cut the cost of car assembly, and at the same time, they have to shift resources to R&D for developing software and new technology. Lots of investment is necessary there. If they don't do that, they will not survive in this new auto industry environment.
Great change is coming quickly to the auto industry, but not necessarily in the way many expected. Navigating the tough road ahead will be a true test of strength for traditional automakers.
Volkswagen shifted resources to EV development, yet, that segment of the market hasn't grown as quickly as expected, while we have Chinese manufacturers like BYD really surging ahead. So why is this happening?
Well, a number of factors. One thing that we need to recognize is the fact that the Chinese